Good morning. Welcome to Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. We have on deck Eastside Al, Mr. Lengel, Deadline Detroit, Washington Post, and we also have Jim Nardone, former chief of police for the Trenton Police Department. Hey, Jim.
Good morning.
Cousin. That's our cousin. And you also have myself, Vanessa Moss. First, you guys know the assignment. You know what we want you to do. Like, subscribe, and share. We're trying to get
You
this.
missed one.
Okay. Like, subscribe, and share. And tell all your friends about the greatest show on these YouTube streets. Listen, you can also join us in the conversation in the comment section. We're going to make sure that we acknowledge you. We're getting ready to acknowledge you in a minute. Listen, tell everybody about Detroit Black and White. This show is hot, hot, hot. We're going to say good morning to Jill Sheridan, Timothy Squire Bay. Hey, Tim. Derek Henry, Karen Winston, DeWayla Boyce, and you may have to scroll up because my thing is not.
Shared story. Our friend.
Shared story. Yes, good
Share
morning.
your story. That's where I was going, Vanessa. I was just going to say, participate because we all share from learning. We all learn from sharing, I should say.
Absolutely. Good morning, Terry McCrimmon. So we're going to get started. We're going to start with the person that I introduced first. We're going to start with Eastside Al. If you guys have been watching the show, you know why we call him Eastside Al. A few weeks ago, he talked about how he was driving on the east side. So now he has the name of Eastside Al.
I have the East Side creds.
He was sneaking up John R., was he?
I was driving on East Warren and Mac and all that stuff.
So what's going on, Eastside?
So I want to say last night there was somebody who was sort of denigrating the whole immigrant thing, saying that the Democrats, and this is the narrative the Republicans are trying to put out, that the Democrats are trying to fund illegal immigrants, give them health care and all that stuff. So first of all, you're not eligible if you're illegal. I mean, if you have a green card, you're here on an asylum request or whatever, you are entitled to get affordable health care, which you pay for, which is supplemented by the government. And you have to, there's a 5-year waiting period to get on Medicaid, even if you're a legal immigrant. If you're illegal, you are not entitled to any of these programs. But that being said, some people don't think we should give any benefits to anybody whether they're, even if they have legal status. And the point is, I was going to say before the show, I was saying, you're okay with these immigrants flipping your hamburgers, cleaning your hotel rooms, building your homes, picking the crops that you get at Whole Food and Kroger and all the, independent grocery stores. You're okay with that, but you don't want to give them any health care, even if they're here legally. And it's just total bullshit. It's like my parents were immigrants. They came here in 1948 after the war. They were working in the garment district in New York, sewing dresses and all that kind of stuff before they came to Detroit. So,
well, let me ask you this, though, Allan. Were your parents legal immigrants or illegal immigrants?
They were legal. They came through New York. They were processed. Look, they waited years. I mean, basically, my parents were in they survived the Holocaust. They were in after the war, they put people in displacement camps, and they were waiting to either go to the U.S. or Israel. My parents were actually waiting for Israel, but somebody kept bribing the people to get higher on the list of Israel. So they came to New York, and then they came here to Detroit in, I think, 1950, and they lived on Elmhurst there. But yeah, they were here illegally, but so they were, entitled to whatever, legal immigrants are entitled to. I mean, you don't have citizenship there. It took whatever it was, 7 years for them to be citizens, but they're entitled. And like I say, I mean, when you go to the hotel, you see people cleaning your rooms. A lot of these people don't speak English. They're immigrants here. They're trying to make some money. The people flipping the burgers, working in the service industry, picking our crops that we take for granted that we pull off the shelf. Those are picked by people, immigrants, who keep the price down. They're not getting high wages. So
we have one of our viewers, Mr. Evans. He said, good morning. He said, we came here. I mean, there's some people feel this way. He said we came here as slaves, and we don't get SHIT. What do you say to that?
I say, look, we have, they're trying to do reparation programs. I mean, Mary Sheffield's supposed to be ahead of the reparation program, which hasn't gone anywhere in, I think, 4 years.
So you just answered, you just responded to his question. You said it hasn't gone anywhere.
Well, it should be. Well, we got to put the right people ahead of this to do whatever form of reparations we figure out is the right way. Yes, I mean, slavery was a shameful part of our history, and other countries, Germany did pay reparations to Holocaust survivors.
I was just ready to say that your parents got reparations.
They got reparations. I don't get reparations. They're gone.
Right.
I don't get reparations, but there should be some form, whatever it is, whether it's the individual.
Why do you think it's so hard, Jim? Why do you think it's so hard to address that issue, reparations for African descendants?
For exactly what Allan just said, we have the wrong people in charge. It has to be a private-public partnership that has to identify. There's a lot of work involved, and you can't just have people on boards like the Detroit Riverfront Conservancy who show up once every 3 months and show their face and put it on their resume. You need to have, you need solutions, and people. There may be a solution, but there's a long way to get to that solution.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I want to piggyback on you. You're talking about the SNAP benefits. And before we went hot, you were talking about the stigma. But I want to talk about, I saw online today that there are quite a few people that are really upset that Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson late Friday temporarily halted a lower court's order that would have required the Trump administration to fund food stamps in full, fueling new uncertainty about the anti-hunger program's immediate fate. The justice did not rule on the legality of the White House's actions. Instead, she imposed a pause meant to give an appeals court more time to weigh the legal arguments raised by the government as it seeks to withhold funding for the SNAP benefits. Why are people mad? We have the justice system, right? And you have different rungs of the justice system. Why are you pissed that he and anybody else, I represent people. They have the right to use the legal system for their fight. We don't know what the end is going to be, but people are dogging out the Supreme Court justice, and she's following the process. What is wrong with that, Allan?
Well, I mean, look, first of all, I mean, she's one of the liberal people on the bench. I mean, if you wanted just some clarification, what's wrong is that this is, people are being played with. I mean, we're talking about feeding the very basic things in our country. I mean, food should be the very basic thing. And I think people are pissed. It's like it's going through this ridiculous legal process, and the Trump administration's fighting it, which to me is just, I don't get it. You're fighting feeding people. And I'm surprised that I think she wants more legal clarification to speed it up and put it on more solid ground. But I don't get it, really. I mean, I would say generally, I mean, she's one of the liberal members of the court. She's a Democratic appointed person by Biden. So you can't blame it and say she's trying to screw. I don't believe she's trying to screw the people, but I don't know.
I don't understand why people will be mad, because he's using the legal process that all of us have the ability to use. And
but why is he fighting it?
He's saying, listen, clearly the appeals court was not clear. She put it on pause. She didn't say, she's not questioning the legality of it all. She's saying the lower court wasn't clear. And so I'm saying, why are people upset? Look, I get people are pissed that their benefits have been suspended, but it's been suspended for, 39 days now, right? She's saying, hey, you guys, this lower court, this appeals court has to get it right before we can do anything, right? And so I'm just wondering, why is it okay for someone like Who can I name? Anybody. Well, anybody that's in the legal system that you okay for them to appeal decisions, but it's not okay for the Trump administration to appeal decisions.
Well,
And
here's the
this is for the sake of conversation because everybody knows I am not a fan, but I am a fan of fairness.
But here's the point, Vanessa. I think that
Okay.
you need to explain to our viewers and to our colleagues out here, and we should get to Terry McCrimmon's point about David Rambo. They don't understand. They only see the result. So they don't know about the whole legal process and how it arrived at this point in the legal process. They don't know that the lower court didn't do their job and the Supreme Court had to send it back to the lower court. They just know that people are losing their benefits. So
well, you just explained it. I don't have to say anything. You just explained it. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And so you're mad. People are mad. And I think Allan got to the core. People are mad because, their benefits are hanging in the balance. When I'm saying they've been hanging in the balance, listen, for at least 39 days. And last night I talked about, hey, y'all knew that this was an issue 9 months ago. Okay, so it's been hanging in the balance for quite some time. This didn't just happen yesterday, and so now you pissed because, and they're attacking the Supreme Court justice. She's doing her job.
thank you. But why is not important when you're trying to feed your family?
I guess the question that people should be mad about is like, why is the administration fighting tooth and nail? They have the money. Why are they fighting tooth and nail to prevent people from eating? And that's really the core of it. Why it's now tied up in court with all this legal BS. I mean, it's part of the process, but the fact that they're fighting and they're fighting so hard to keep people from eating is just, to me, is mind-boggling.
So, the one thing I will say, there are several states that have figured it out, and people are still able to get their benefits. And like we talked about last night, we have a lot of things that are going on in the Metro Detroit area to make sure that people get food. This is a pause in terms of the government shutdown. I don't believe it's going to last 6 months. I don't believe it's going to last 8 months or anything like that. I saw today where the Senate Democrats have substantially scaled back their demand for ending the government shutdown. So there appears to be a little bit of movement there. Okay. So do we want to go to we're going to do a break, and then we're going to come back. We're going to address some of our viewers. And then Jim, you can address, it was something that one of our viewers said. Okay.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Nearly 30,000 vacant lots all over the city of Detroit are for sale right now. That's right, nearly 30,000 vacant lots are available now, starting at just $100. The lot next to your house or the lot down the street. Make it yours today in just a few simple clicks. Find out if it is available by visiting buildingdetroit.org. At the Detroit Land Bank Authority, side lots are just $100 and neighborhood lots sell for $250. You can apply and pay online today by visiting buildingdetroit.org. And if you don't see the lot you're looking for, call our offices. Our phone number is 313-974-6869. Again, that is 313-974-6869.
We're back, Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday morning's edition. I want to say good morning to Jill Sheridan. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I guess I'll read some of these comments because we got quite a few comments. Stephanie Jackson says she's here.
Hello, Stephanie.
Reading is essential. Terry Grimman said this is why elections matter. This wouldn't be happening if someone else was president, Democrat or Republican. This president and his Congress, the House and Senate have made it personal.
I think that's accurate. It
Yep.
isn't.
I
It's
agree.
all of their faults. But
Yep.
as I said
I
last
said
night,
that from the beginning. I blame everybody.
he's the CEO.
Yep. G Money said, G Money Hollywood. I shorten your name, G Money Hollywood. G Money says, I think that I got that from one of the movies. I think one of the movies is New Jack City. Anyway, reparations are warranted to FBA's foundational Black Americans. We can print billions to support other countries. It cannot make what's a wrong a right. Reparations are well overdue for FBAs.
I I want to throw out a question here. What do reparations look like? I know, Todd Perkins 4 years ago was pushing for one of the proposals dealing with reparations, and he was saying reparations is not going to be, this is the way he envisioned it, and people have different ideas. He said, I don't envision it as, individual people getting monthly checks or a big payout, but rather having funding for, rental assistance, legal assistance, educational assistance, a pot of money that people can use to get scholarships and all that. Vanessa, how do you see reparations?
I go back to 40 acres and a mule. We were promised 40 acres of land. I really, that's what it represents for me. When you say rent assistance, everybody don't want to be a renter. People want to own land. People
Or loan or mortgage assistance, whatever.
That is what I'm thinking. And how it looks, I don't know. I know that we had a group of people in the city of Detroit. They were meeting. We had a reparations council, and Joanne Watson, who has joined the Ancestors, was on that council. I don't know what's happening with it now. What I do know is this: clearly, there's nothing happening now, because if it was something happening, we would know about it. We also know that in different parts of the country, they have addressed reparations in different ways. So I don't know how it would look here in Michigan. I don't know how it would look here in the city of Detroit. But what I do know, they have to start with something, and I would say it would start with land. And and as I'm talking, the city of Detroit has more land than it now has abandoned homes. Let's talk about that. Maybe reparations should be that. For those people who don't have homes, maybe we could start with that.
It's interesting. Jill Sheridan talks about Native Americans, that we also need to do reparations. And
Absolutely.
I think we've overlooked. I mean, the fact is that wherever we live, we're probably on indigenous land. The settlers, whatever, stole the land, and now sort of our apology is like, oh, you get a casino, you're on a reservation, you have certain Indian programs or whatever. But I don't know, that it seems like a forgotten part of our population, really.
Yeah,
they have no opportunity to recover. The indigenous people have no opportunity to recover in our society. It's
absolutely, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Something that you talked about before we went hot, Allan, I want you to share with your viewers when we were talking about the SNAP benefits a little bit. You were talking about when you were in school and that kind of.
No, I was saying that I think there's been a stigma to food stamps. You go I remember when I was younger, going to the supermarket and seeing people have these huge amounts of groceries and steaks and everything, and they're pulling out food stamps and everybody's looking at them. And so I think they've changed the benefits. But I also, at Michigan State, when I was a student, one of my neighbors who grew up on the block, who's now a very wealthy person, super wealthy, he came from a very middle class, very comfortable family. He had food stamps, and there were students coming from middle class, upper middle class, who were getting food stamps. And while we were all eating, Swanson TV dinners, hot dogs, all that kind of stuff, his freezer was packed with steaks. So there are abuses, but people should have some dignity. So now, I mean, I think a lot of the people in the country who aren't familiar with SNAP are becoming familiar with SNAP now, but it's really, now you hear on the news stations, they're referring to it as food stamps. It's a more dignified thing to say snaps or bridge cards or whatever it is. And so, I think people should have dignity. They shouldn't be shamed if for some reason, whatever their economic challenges are, they can't afford food, they can't afford to feed their family. That's what we have. And, you know, people talk about socialism here, but how many of the wealthy people are on Social Security and Medicare? Those are all social programs. I mean, we've set up a society so that people don't fall through the cracks that we still see it. We walk down the streets and somebody's sleeping on the sidewalk or sleeping at a bus stop. There are still people falling through the cracks, but we're trying as a society to be humane and care about everyone. You know?
Can I address, when you're ready, I want to address our contributors out there.
Okay, yeah. I think that you hit on something about there. I think you have to acknowledge that there has been some abuses, and there continues to be
always.
But even with that, there's also a stigma, and I'm going to use a story about myself. My father was an entertainer. He was a comedian. Everybody watch the show knows that. First heart attack at the age of 27. Okay, so he was the provider for our family. He's in the hospital. He can't provide for his family. So my mother had to go and get on assistance. It was embarrassing because we went from, parents going to the store, buying groceries, using money. And at that time, they had these it was a book. It was a book. Right. And you would go to the store. My parents would send me to the store and ask me to, get some things. And I will wait until other people left the store before I would purchase whatever it was. And that should not be, because the program is really designed to be a stopgap. I don't know what it is now, a stopgap to help people, to assist people. It's not supposed to be a way of life. And I think a lot of people view it or see people using it as a way of life. And because they see that, they get really ticked off about that and say that, and then they start saying, these people that are abusing the system, they say, well, then, hey, they need to get rid of it. Go ahead, Jim.
I just want to address our contributors. You see us here, our faces, and Vanessa's smiling face, and Allan and I in the background here. And you're contributing just as much to the show as we are. You just have to put up with our faces. Karen Winston says reparations to me would be to restore my pension and COLA. I'm going to just disagree with you a little bit, Karen. Those are earned benefits. You worked your whole life for those benefits. They should never have been taken away from you. Poor leadership. The result of poor leadership, through no fault of your own, you've lost benefits by working with the government. Potentially a JRW7TF, potentially a partial reparations for blacks in the country is a tax moratorium, at least federally. Also, we should be able to create sovereign land with our rule of law similar to indigenous people. Well, what I like about what Allan said, Todd Perkins, you're right, Vanessa, not everybody wants to live in an apartment. Some people might want to be on a farm. And if it has to be money, not everybody wants to go to college. Maybe somebody wants to work for General Motors. So there has to be a huge plan that you can't leave people out. That's why we're in this situation. Right? You have to include everybody and give them an opportunity. Maybe they want money for their kids. Maybe there's a tax break for kids. There's all kinds of things. But it's going to take a lot of work to get to the bottom of it, to find something that's fair to everybody.
Right. Absolutely. Maybe that can include that in that big, beautiful bill.
G-Money is America's giving black Americans a void check. Currency is due. However it is distributed, the bottom line is the pile has to be shared in all facets. You couldn't have said it better, G-Money. You usually do. I need to read his comment before I run my flapper.
Right. No.
Bill talks about indigenous. Why is fascism growing in America? Derek Henry. Well, let's ask Derek. So we've talked about this on this show. What happened in Hungary? They went from Hitler to Russia. They thought Russia was going to protect them, so they went from fascism to communism and complete control. It's just a different form of control. So I read something just the other day that asked the American people, what is their choice? Do you want fascism or communism? Because they both want total control, and anybody that disagrees with that's not paying attention. If you think the Democrats are just, you can do what you want, I believe in this and that, or the Republicans believe in fascism, I'm going to tell you what, they both want total control. It's obvious if you pay attention. We need something in the middle. We need citizen representation. We need the people to be represented, not the extremists. Go ahead, Al. I know you're ready.
No, I was just going to say. I mean, there's talk. I know when we were on 9:10 a.m. we had discussions about this, and some people were like, "I don't care about any programs, blah blah blah. I just give me my money. Yeah, just give me my money." But the other side of that is if you were to set up programs, scholarship funds, whatever it is, to make sure that there's availability to help people, move forward. I think that's something that, Todd Perkins was saying. Well, people think they want just the money, but I think it's more effective to help people push their lives forward by giving them what programs they might need help.
Oh, you're putting conditions on the money that people deserve. That's what it sounds like to me.
No, look, there's energy. I mean, if you need energy or whatever, it's just saying these programs are available. It's not putting conditions like, yes.
But it sounds like it from an outsider.
I mean, the argument is that if you give everyone, you say, okay, reparations, we'll give everyone $10,000. Is that going to move people forward more, or is it going to be moving forward with grants or whatever? And maybe you say, okay, people will manage their money and figure it out, but
But people don't want people to manage their money. And your parents got reparations, and they just got a check. They got a check. I don't know if they got it every month or whatever for their entire lives. Listen, it should be no strings attached. Period.
That's my question. What makes the government? Why is the government
to dictate to me how you get it if you do this, that, and the other? I want to address somebody. Somebody named is Nam Ray. I don't know who it is, but it's somebody who knows me personally because they said, "You right, Nessa," which, only family members call me Nessa. They said, "I don't want to live next door to a vacant lot, a neighborhood garden, or across the street from a solar park." This is somebody that's talked to me. "I live in the city. I want to have next door neighbors to help pay taxes." This is somebody that's talked to me. And I said this, and I agree with you, and I'm glad that you agree with me. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Did you have something to say?
No. I hear somebody says whites benefit from SNAP more than others. I know there was a video that went viral, YT, about a single white woman getting over $3,000 per month in assistance. Now, if that is not abuse, there's every program has had abuse. We have doctors who are being busted all the time, and I've always, for Medicare fraud. And we're talking big money. We're talking millions and millions. One individual doctor. My parents had a podiatrist in Oak Park. He went to prison for Medicare fraud. And it's very common where they're charging for services. They're charging for services they don't render. And it happens all the time. I think, we need more. I mean, Trump is getting rid of all these inspector generals, and it was something I wanted to bring up anyways, was that the FBI has now closed down one of its elite public corruption squads. And they're downplaying, and that's what you get when you get a criminal in the White House. Suddenly you're shutting down the criminal, you're shutting down a public corruption squad in the FBI.
Some people would say Bill Clinton was a criminal. I'm just saying.
I'm saying that they're shutting it down, and they're still saying, no, we're still going to fight public corruption. Well, that's how they do it in Washington. When you want to make sure that things aren't being enforced, you don't say, we're not enforcing public corruption. You just don't fund the investigations to investigate that. And that's what we're seeing, not only there, but in the Justice Department. And people can, you can say, hey, not my business, who cares? But yeah, that business, when your taxes go up, when people are stealing, when people, like we saw, thankfully the Riverfront Conservancy was not public monies, but $43 million was stolen from there, which is just mind-boggling. Which leads me also to, how is Mary Sheffield still on the board, and how is Matt Cullen, the chairman of the board, still the chairman of the board? I don't care if they didn't know what was going on. I don't care how innocent they are. They were there. I mean, Mary can say there were a lot of board members there. She says, well, it was more of just a honorary kind of thing. She wasn't paying attention. Well, don't be on the board. And then Matt Cullen, she defended Matt Cullen, the chairman of the board, as saying, well, he's done nothing wrong. Well, yes, he's done nothing wrong, but they stole all that money. It's a lot of money. So
You don't fight.
It means plural. Was it more than one person? Do you believe it was more than one person?
We haven't seen any evidence of it, but you wonder if somebody wasn't turning their head or had some suspicions and just said, hey, not my business. Not my business. So I don't know. Do you think there were more people? I mean, you always think there were more.
I've been consistent. I've been consistent from day one. You cannot tell me that this person is not taking a fall. I'm sorry. I do believe that. That's my belief. And it's really unfortunate. I want to go to Willis Martin, because Willis Martin has made some comments. So I want to address Willis Martin. And thank you, Dewayla Boyce, for joining us this morning, as well as Bridget Tracy Huff. You joined this morning. Thank you so much for watching Detroit Black and White. Willis says, this country has run out of real money. Karma is on this country, and unfortunately, Black Americans will go down with the rest of them. The reason why the illegal people are here is to replace Black Americans. That is his belief.
What do you think about that?
The reason why illegal people are here is to replace Black Americans. I don't believe that. I believe illegals are here because this country was founded on illegals. I mean, that's what I believe. I don't believe that my Blackness can be replaced. I really don't believe that.
I think also we saw during COVID, and we still have. I mean, now there's been a lot of mass layoffs in different industries, but we've had a shortage of workers for so long, a shortage of farm workers and construction workers and all that. It's not. I think there's enough room for immigrants here, and I don't feel like they're replacing Black people here. I
don't feel that way, but I do think that some people will take issue with you saying that, because your parents were immigrants and you're different than a Black person that's saying that. There's clearly Willis Martin feels that way. I don't feel that way, but Willis Martin, I'm taking it.
What is Willis Martin? I'm curious. What does Willis Martin base his opinion?
Let Willis tell us this.
Well, can we go to Mike Bunch? But I just wanted to make one quick comment.
Look.
I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna stop on my comment. Go ahead.
Do y'all see?
Go ahead, Vanessa.
Do you see who joined?
I do. Get him in the room.
Get him in the room.
I want to hear for a minute.
Come on, go.
What's up, man?
Hey.
Whoops.
Oh, yeah. Keep playing. He likes
that was short visit.
Right. That was a very short visit.
What? What's up?
What we're talking about? We
have stayed off that question.
Which question?
About
what about
immigrants? Are Black? Somebody said immigrants are replacing Black people in this country. What's your feeling on that?
No. Yeah. Black people always had a hard time. When it was free, it had no problem. But when it ain't free, we evolved. It's like boxing. First it was the Irish, then you got Black folks, and then now you got Russians taking over the sport. But when you got folks that don't want to, we used to do all the landscaping and all the real nasty jobs. But as the civil rights movement came, stopped all that, people not shining shoes like they used to, or cleaning people's houses and stuff. You get immigrants to come over here, and if you're gonna pay them something, they're gonna take the job. So at this point, it's like, who do you see that cut the grass and all the other stuff? It's Latinos, when you know they come over and they don't mind doing it. Shit. So no replacement. No, they don't. They ain't replacing. You know, it's just that people. It depends on who it is. You know, the Irish took over the police departments. That was the only jobs they could get. You know, and then their kids and their grandkids and all that other stuff. Yeah. So
And
nah.
let's ask Adolf about reparations. What do you envision reparations as? Individual payments or group different pots for?
I say, you know, when all of a property that they took, and they still got records of who lived where. You know, the census and stuff during the 40s and 50s. I say you give people mortgages, give them loans and other stuff. You know, it's gonna be hard pressed when if they gave reparations out in the 20s and 30s, there was thousands of ex-slaves still alive. So it wouldn't be a problem of who was a descendant of slavery, because you got people come over here from Jamaica and all these other places. They might be the descendants of slavery, but not here. So reparations, they got to come up with something. And Mary Sheffield said she was a champion of reparations. I don't know what these voters was thinking when they voted her in. You know, she got her people out to the whatever. She ain't did shit for no reparations. Keith Williams, he ran with his own agenda for reparations. At this point, ain't nothing coming up. We're not gonna have anything about reparations.
Adolf, I said that because Allan asked me, and I said, listen, it started off with 40 acres. I said land. We have in the city of Detroit a lot of vacant land. And we'll talk about reparations, and particularly here in the city of Detroit. You brought up Mary-elect Mary Sheffield and Keith and etc. What do you think about, because you said mortgages. I'm like, give us the land and let us do what we want to do with it.
You know what? It's still. Listen, they Clinton gave the Japanese that was interned during World War II 20 grand, but that was what? How many thousands? It wasn't millions of people that they had to pay. Allan, I'm gonna ask you this: what did your parents get for being in a concentration camp?
My parents eventually got about $500, give or I think it varied by the value of the Deutschmark or something like that, but they got about $500 a month. But I don't get anything. When my parents died, that was the end.
Well, you wasn't in a concentration camp.
Right. No, I'm saying that they did get it. I mean, it took several years. It took quite a long time. They didn't get it right away. It probably took.
I say that
years.
The people, what they did in L.A., where black couple in the 20s bought all this property, and the city took all the shit from them, and their descendants got not only the property back, but they got paid. Now those kind of things, and you can go down in the South where they took people property, they just took it, you know. And what's his name, General Sherman? He had the best idea when he said give the ex-slaves 40 acres and a mule, because there was enough land that they worked. They worked it. Now this guy wasn't no friend of black people. He was basically a copperhead, him and his brother, who was a senator from Ohio. But he saw, damn, how we gonna get the ex-slaves acclimated into the society.
Right.
They've been working it forever. It's not like they had to be taught to do that, but there's no formula of how you give out reparations.
Right.
Other
Yeah, I
people
mean, it's,
do it, and you know, you got it. They gave it right to them after World War II. The Japanese got it.
it took
That
many
only
years.
person that haven't gotten anything is descendant of ex-slaves,
I
and
think
the
the way we look at
ex-slaves
it,
that was still alive at the time that could have got it didn't get it. So
I agree. I mean, it's really shameful that the slaves who were still alive did not get it directly. Look, my parents, I don't know, probably took them 20 years before they got it. I mean, my mother's family lost their home. They had a hardware store that was taken away. My father, you know, in Poland, the Nazis took their home, and they killed their parents. They killed some of their siblings. They, you know, killed them in the camp. So
yeah, but
slavery,
we
you know,
dealt with that
yeah,
lynching,
no,
all
I'm
this other
saying
shit.
slavery, the horrors of slavery are you know, endless, are infinite.
And I hear people say, "Well, I didn't own any slaves and stuff, but some of your relatives profited from slavery. You know, where I couldn't get a job, you know, because you were prohibited. You know, there's a whole lot of other stuff. You know, it's a slippery slope that this country has to deal with. But they need to deal with it, you know, and come up with something. Now we got Evanston, Illinois, came up with a solution. Well, San Francisco said they want to give some astronomical sum for folks. But now, where's stop with the Chinese? They had thousands of people died building a railroad out west. Should they get reparations? We already gave Native Americans, we gave them casinos, put them on a reservation, gave them casinos and stuff.
Well, and I don't think that that's enough because, and you said we, I'm not even going to include myself in
Oh,
that.
I understand. It's just a term.
But yeah, well, all I'm saying is that what has been done to them, the natives, it's atrocious. It's shameful what has been done to them.
Well, they just became citizens in the 20s, you know?
right. Should we take
Yeah.
a break? Adolf, stay with us. It looks like a pinball machine.
Yeah.
The viewers are going up and up and up. And let's get to our viewers and talk. Is that okay, Allan?
Yep.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
We're back, Detroit in Black and White, our Saturday mornings edition. We're here with Adolph Mongo, Allan Lengel, Jim Nardone, and myself, Vanessa Moss. I'm going to quickly go through some of the comments. Janet, overall, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Good morning. And thank you to the person who liked, subscribed, and shared. And you follow the assignment every week. Miss Sheila says, Mr. Allen said what he said. G Money Hollywood says, let's switch gears and talk about the economy. Does anyone think that we've been in a recession since 2019, but they are not just calling it a recession? I don't know what to expect in 2026. Karen Winston says, what are they doing differently after the theft? She's talking about the Riverfront Conservancy. Eric Brown says, too many people were turning their heads on part of an organization where millions of dollars were stolen, and every member on that board are complicit. Yet only a single person took the fall. Eric G Money agreed with you. Taylor Made says shortage of workers, ? Cheap labor. Dorian Denard says the illegals are here because we've plundered their resources for 130 years. Timothy Squires Bay says that were too much money to be in one hand. Willis Martin says says that they're from DC, who built all those big beautiful buildings in DC and didn't get paid. Perfect timing, Mr. Adolph. Janice Saluk says 40 acres multiplied by the U.S. Black populations equals 1.6 trillion acres, U.S. 2.36 billion acres. How would that work? And a mule, we already have an ass as president. Immigrants don't replace, but they are a controlled vote. Jay says, a shared story says Adolph with an exclamation point. Stephanie Jackson said he's back. Janice says we must look to our Native Indians who have been solely forgotten. Cynthia Crystal Weiss, thank you so much for joining us. And she's joining us on Facebook. Thank you for all of those that are watching us on Facebook. Crystal Weiss says you still have families that are still lost their homes due to I-75 and 375. Good morning, Angela Beatty. Terry McCrimmon says World War III will happen before Black Americans get reparations. And when it comes, guess who American will ask to fight for the country?
Where's Mike Bunch? I had a Mike Bunch comment up there, and I was trying to get to him a while ago.
If I could find it. Someone apologized to me and says that they've never met me, but their oldest cousin named Vanessa. My grandmother used to call her Nessa. Okay.
There was a Mike Bunch comment some time ago.
For Karen, Crystal said, give us land and free education, $500 a month. Allan, how many years did your parents get that? Didn't your parents migrating to America? I'm trying to look for Butch.
Here it is.
You got
it? I put it up.
Okay. What does it say?
It says, I don't think this was his original comment. I think he was talking to G Money. I think most progressives and Democrats want reparations, but the people running around our country, billionaires, don't want anybody to have the money but them. And I think that's a great point.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I saw that earlier today. Yeah.
And here's a Terry McCrimmon. If reparations isn't legislation passed by the House and confirmed by the Senate and signed into law by the president, won't work. The IRS has to be involved too. And I want to ask Adolph this question, right? We talked about this before you came on, Adolph, and Todd Perkins and Allan was talking about Todd Perkins and how he believes reparations should be handed out. Now, the first thing I think about, and this isn't a knock on anybody, is why are we putting conditions on people's money if that's the case? And if people deserve the money, I only think the government can cause more pain.
I don't care what they do with it. Listen, if you give somebody something, I don't care what they do with it. It's like food stamps. Here these assholes in DC saying, "Oh, you can't buy a pop, you can't buy a steak, you can't buy." They looking in people's baskets and saying, "Oh, You got to buy some cornmeal and make cornmeal mush or some shit. That's not the way it is. You gave people the money. Now, if they fuck it up, they can't just come back and say, you know what, I fucked that up, but I need some more. It don't work like that. Hopefully, people do the right thing. But what you do with reparations?
Yeah.
No. If you're going to give somebody reparations, let them, shit, they can buy whatever the hell they want
government that did all these things. Tracy Smith says she doesn't care either, Adolph, and I think that's why are we putting conditions on people? That's
Allan, did anybody tell your parents how to spend their $500?
No.
A month?
The question was too. There was a question about that, Allan.
No.
$500 a month for how long was the question?
I quite a long time. I'm not sure. I can't even.
And they supposed to got it. Listen, I ain't mad at them.
Yeah,
but the bottom line is that listen, all those insurance companies in Germany and the rest of western part of Europe, they didn't even pay people. How many Jews had insurance policies, and none of them ever got paid? Yeah. They killed them, etc. People profited off of the Holocaust. People profited off of slavery, Jim Crow. They listen. It was a business.
And listen,
you had the insurance companies that got paid. Yes.
And profiting off of SNAP benefits, like it or not.
And what about Derek? We gave $40 billion to Argentina, which I keep hearing about on this show. I'm not that familiar with it, but did we ask Argentina what they were going to do with the money?
We did with Argentina. We made U.S. We brought their beef in here and said you need to buy Argentina beef. It's like Trump got something going with them. You never
Derek.
know what's going on. But listen, reparations. I want to see what the incoming mayor going to do with reparations, or is it going to be one of those, bullshit sessions? Well, I didn't want to. Being on the conservancy, that's not my job. Basically, that's what she said, and so all this other stuff, you can't just give lip service. Now the buck stops at your table now. You got to deal with it, Yeah.
But we can't even get the government fixed. How are they going to figure this problem out, this issue?
Well, I just hope that this new mayor talking about she made history. She needs to go look at what happened to the mayor of New Orleans, where she got indicted for having a relationship with her security and giving them all kind of perks and all this stuff. You got to be real careful these days, because people are watching you. They watching.
Yeah.
What Adolph was saying, talking about the limitations on SNAP, which is just insane. People can't buy prepared foods like a rotisserie chicken, which is like cheap. You can get a rotisserie chicken
$5.
Yeah, $5-6. You can't buy any ready-made, pizza or whatever, which is like a food. It's not like, and you can't buy cleaning supplies with it, which is just, you wonder who made these rules.
Well, and I wonder who created it, because I remember those EBT cards when they first came out. People can take it over to the casino and use their ATMs and get money until somebody dropped a dime to the state saying people getting money off of their benefits cards at the casino. A lot of times, people think of stuff to do. You got a card that look like a credit card, and they trying to figure out how can I get money off of it. That's human nature. That's the
Well,
way it is.
so I'm going to go to a couple because we have a couple of new viewers, so I want to acknowledge them and their comments. Roger Dorham says reparations should come in the form of free education, free healthcare, food, housing, transportation vouchers for the next 400 years. Miss Sheila points out Native Americans have been here in Michigan by way of Canada. Tracy Smith says economically, when America has a cold, blacks catch pneumonia. Karen Winston says they can use AI and figure it all out. You have Eric Brown. He says we have free education now, and folk ain't taking advantage of it. K to 12 is a failure. How would a free college education work when many are not qualified to get into college?
Well, that begs the question.
Yeah.
Why is it that again? I know Allan doesn't like this, and some of our viewers don't like this, and I missed the comment, but. Why are we putting conditions on? We don't put conditions on people. If it's a tax break, whatever it is, somebody talked about a tax break. Isn't a tax break for the wealthy? Is that a form of, giving people money? Generally, isn't tax breaks a form of government handout?
Don't we pay farmers not to grow shit?
We do.
Yep.
God, and you know what? People act like this is something new.
Well, we don't have to ask them where they're buying their groceries. We don't have to ask people where they're buying their groceries. We talk about. Go ahead,
with the tariffs in China stopped buying our wheat for a while, our soy and soybeans and all that, and we had to supplement the farmers who were, many who voted for Trump because they were going broke. I mean, people don't realize in this business these are corporations. These farms, they got 10, 20, $30 million in equipment. This is big business, and so there is subsidies in that respect too. So we have to figure out how to do it. I think it's a matter of, but like I say, and Adolph points out, we haven't seen anything in 4 years. We've had a reparations committee, and I really haven't heard anything.
I wish we could debate a plan that they put together 4 years ago, and we agree or disagree on the plan and tweak it a little bit, but we ain't even have a plan because it's like the Charter Commission. When people run for the Charter Commission to run for another office, all this shit is just some bullshit. And the reparations is just another, I call it's just some bullshit because they don't really have a real plan to bring that to the forefront. Because people say, I want a check. You're always going to have somebody asking for a check. But I don't think you get a check.
Adolph, we'll have one of our viewers, G Money Hollywood. He says you keep bashing Mary, but she was the strongest qualifier of the week.
Mary was full of shit. She started early. Hey, listen, I don't care what you say, G Money. She got the money. She sold her soul to the highest bidder, and the people that ran against her got in it too late. So yeah, and the people that's pissed off and ain't got shit, they didn't go vote. Now there's more of them than there's more than of you that love Mary draws. Wait till they come and strip her naked for all the city to see. Yeah, that's my case, and I'm gonna say goodbye. I just came for a hot second, and like I never left.
You started a fire, okay? Goodbye.
Well, y'all can put it out, and I'll see
talk about you
see you next week.
We're just going to talk about you when you leave.
All right.
Okay, you can talk about me. People talking about me anyway.
We've only got a minute and a half left.
Yeah, we only got a minute and a half to go. So at any rate,
a minute and a half to leave.
Yeah, we're done. You might as well stay. But G Money Hollywood say that it was a weak race and she was the strongest candidate.
And yeah, it was. It's like she ran against people in wheelchairs.
Listen,
and Willis says the mayor will set up a committee.
A fixed race. We have a viewer who says that she believes it was a fixed race. She said You can't win in a fixed race. That's
And,
what.
and then if people say she's gonna continue what Mike Duggan did, fuck no, because she don't know jack shit. And I said this. I hope she hire competent people that know city government and not her fucking friends and not the rappers and all the other fuckers that don't know shit about city government. You got to hire people that don't like you, that didn't support you, and
True.
support you. You got to have a coalition of folks.
Yeah,
You
that's
know, you won. Listen, I told Christine Beatty and Kwame, I remember going up on the 11th floor because Kwame wanted to hire me. You should have seen all the looks from those folks that work for him. They wanted to kill me. I said, y'all won. What y'all mad about? Just make shit work. That's
right.
all this shit is about. You
Absolutely.
won. You know, you don't have to issue statements like Reverend Sheffield issuing statements. You know there has some hidden meaning to that shit. You know, just go and do your job. Get some competent fucking people. That's all we asking. Stop making excuses. Stop giving your man 60 million.
Lord have mercy.
Stop
No one's
hanging
gonna say
around.
he changed.
Stop hanging around criminals who bribe elected officials. That's what we want. You know. So if she's the best, well, you know, hey, you know, you're gonna have to live with it.
We need a
Okay.
motherfucker to add up. Can you get some fuck the motherfuckers or something going? Somebody wants to hear you say something like that.
Oh, well, ain't no. Well, fuck the Lions. So that gets you because they
How about a
did.
fuck all of
Howard.
us? How about a fuck
They-
Allan and Jim and Vanessa?
Well, fuck all y'all. Y'all got me coming out of.
You don't mean that. You not include me in that statement. I know.
I have to put you in that. I have to put you in that.
Breaking up with me today, but that's okay. We'll be back together in about 15 minutes. At any rate, I think it's the time to close the show. We weren't able to get to all the comments, but what we are going to do is we do. Allan rewatches the show, and now I've started rewatching the show. So if we didn't get to your comment today, hopefully we'll be able to address it on Wednesday. But the one thing we want to do, we want to say to you, thank you so much for joining us every Wednesday, every Friday, every.
I miss y'all. You know, and hopefully sometime soon I can come back full time. You know, I'm
Save
just an
some
old.
MFers for
I'm
later.
just an old man, and it takes a long time to heal.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm glad I could come on. You know, Jim been harassing me, you know,
That's a
and
fact.
all this other stuff. So, yeah, hopefully next week I can come on Wednesday or Friday and join in the discussion. I miss the comments and I miss our viewers and stuff. I want to get riled up. Thank you, G Money, and everybody else to say you full of shit. She won. I don't want to keep hearing that.
Right.
I got an answer for you. Thank you.
Right. All right. Thanks, Adolf. We're so happy that you're
Good seeing
back.
you.
It's good seeing you. And like he said, he told you guys his story. You don't have to listen to the rumors in the street. He told you guys what happened to him. He is on his journey of healing. His voice is strong. He's doing great. We talk all the time. Thank you, everybody, for watching Detroit Black and White, rocking with us. Catch Detroit Black and White Reality Strikes on Monday evening, 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. And the week that was every Friday morning. What time, Allan?
11:30 a.m.
11:30 a.m. All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend.